Good morning and welcome to North Century Pharmacy, presenting the Community Buzz on Hot Country 93.5. I'm Josh Kenny, pleased to be joined by Adair County Sheriff Josh Brockman. Sheriff, great to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you too.
So much has happened since we last had you in studio, and I'm going to start on a lighthearted note. Look, there were other ways for you to get out of having to come to the radio station to visit us. You didn't have to retire. You didn't have to retire to not have to come see us now, okay? Like,
I can still find my way up every now and then.
Well, we certainly appreciate that, and I start on a lighthearted note because, Sheriff, I know it has been it's been a week of weeks to say the least, and I'm just going to kind of start and then let you go, and we'll converse and go down this road together. I told you as you walked in, I'm happy for you, and I've said it all week, I'm happy for you because you get to retire. Very few people get to enjoy retirement. And if there's anybody that I know that certainly deserves to have their phone not ring for more than 2 minutes, would be you. You absolutely deserve that retirement. I hope you have a great retirement. I'm happy that you get to retire. I'm happy for Amy and the boys because they're going to have a full-time dad now.
Yeah.
They don't have to split dad with the county.
Oh.
And at the same token, I'm sad because I've said it all week. We are losing a great sheriff. We are losing a great man in a office that you were elected to. I'm also mad at the same time because, Sheriff, you were pouring your heart out to fiscal court on Tuesday night, and nobody was listening. I'm happy, I'm sad, and I'm mad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to act right now. I'm sorry. So,
well, I mean, it's definitely been an interesting few days, interesting week. But you know, I'm going to try my best to take the high road because
you're a good man.
As an elected official, I believe we have a behavior that is expected of us when we're speaking in public.
Agreed.
And but you know, this is something me and my wife and my kids, you know, we've been discussing this for several years now, and of course, to clarify a little bit on that, because I guess a lot of people may wonder about retirement, and I know I'm at that young age of 45.
Of course, yes.
I was able to enter into law enforcement back in 2001, and
you were a pup. You were a pup.
And when I entered back in that day, the state still had what they call Tier 1 hazardous duty retirement.
Okay.
And not to get into details of that, but the main point of that is you work 20 years in a hazardous duty job and you're eligible for your pension.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I've got at the age of 45 being able to be eligible at that level. Yeah. So I've been eligible to retire for about 3 years. And you know, me and my wife and kids have been talking about it for quite some time, and we kept pushing on.
You did.
You know, we kept pushing on. We felt like we still had more to give, and, you know, we were just going to keep pushing on. You know, every time we get to a point where we thought, you know, it's time, we would decide to push on a little further. And I say we because, you know, it's teamwork.
Absolutely it is.
You know, I can't put in the hours and I can't do the job that I do without her being home to fill in all the places that I'm absent.
Absolutely.
And so I'm not here without her being able to pick up the work. And,
Very true.
And without my kids being able to understand. So it's been a talk for a while, but we've carried on. And you know, I'm just going to be honest, and I'm not going to elaborate on it too much because, like I said, I'm going to try to take a high road.
Understandable.
But for 2 years, the environment has been nothing but toxic in our government. And when you contribute having a job that you work 60, 70, 80, 100 hours a week,
you do.
and then you combine that with working in a toxic environment, sometimes it's hard not to take that home with you.
I would think it's nearly impossible.
And when those problems start coming home with you, that's no good. That's when you got to step back and reevaluate as to, hey, what are we doing, And me and my wife come to the, hard conversation that, I've given enough. And after that last physical court meeting, and I don't like to consider myself too much of an emotional guy, but some know I'm just a big old heavy teddy bear. But, I try not to let the criminals know that.
That's important, and you've done a good job over your career.
After that last physical court meeting, I wasn't going to say anything, and I thought, I'm going to open up and I'm going to plead my case as hard as I can.
Good for you.
And got a little emotional for me.
You did, and should have.
But, within minutes of me speaking, there was a sidebar chaos is what I call it.
Circus.
Yeah, pretty well.
Sorry, but
started up there while I was trying to speak. I had to beg to bring the attention back to me.
Like, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah.
So at that point, when I went home, my wife was waiting up for me. We had the conversation, and we decided, enough's enough. It's time for me to come home. There's I've given my time, and I can't keep on in a toxic environment. You
can't.
It's not fair to my family.
It's not.
And I know I'm just blessed that I'm in a position that I can retire.
Absolutely. And go do something else or do nothing.
I feel for the ones who can't retire.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to where I can say, hey, it's time for me to step away. It's time for me to step away before I start becoming a person in those meetings that I don't want to be.
I don't blame you.
And one of my good friends, Deputy, he if he's listening this morning, I don't want to blow his head up too much, but Mark Harris, he gave me an old saying that he called me and he said, I think I can get this right. It says sometimes it's best to step off stage while people still like hearing you sing.
Wow.
And
wow,
I thought about that quite a bit.
That's a good saying.
And this ultimately was a decision made for my family. I love my job. I love being sheriff.
I think you've proven that.
And I don't know what I'm gonna do afterwards. Anybody hiring out there? No, I don't know that. I don't know that I'll ever, put a badge on or after that again, or after this again. But whatever I do, it's not going to neglect time from my family.
Absolutely.
And from God.
And you've done that for years and years, and you've done it the right way. And I told you the other day in our conversation that you've done it so well for so long, and you can't take it home. And I don't know how you all do it, not taking it home, but 60, 80, 100 hours a week. I know you work those hours because I see your post. I see what you do. I see you go. And that sacrifice at home, and then you add in the last couple of years and that just horribly toxic work environment, you just can't keep on. You just can't keep on. And like you mentioned, luckily, and again, I'm happy you're at the point that you can retire and decide do something else. If you want to do something, nothing, or just sit home and eat Cheetos all day. Like, whatever you want to do.
That's an option.
I don't blame you. You call me, and we'll eat Cheetos together. But again, where it comes to, you're talking about your deputies, and Sharon Burton has been covering this like we all have, sharing with the community voice, and a lot of your deputies are not fortunate enough to be at that point where they can retire, where they've got to still deal with that toxic relationship, that toxic work environment, and obviously they're looking to go elsewhere. Why wouldn't they be?
Mm-hmm. And that's been a battle, for the sheriff's
years.
office.
I know it.
I started in 2001, and I can only speak from there forward, but it's been a battle since then. I was a deputy in 2001. I left myself in 2003, for better opportunities. And, that's so to sit and for anyone to think that, that we didn't know there was problems. Well, it's been 20 plus years this has been going on.
Yeah.
And I have excellent group of guys, and I felt, in my opinion, of course, that's my opinion doesn't really matter. It'd be the public that ultimately will always decide. But I felt a lot of pride in the team that I had built and put together, and from the ones that were already there when I got there, that the former sheriff and the sheriff before him had trained and built, and I felt like I added some things to that.
Absolutely.
And that should be the goal of any sheriff, and it's to go in and build on what you was left, and then pray and hope that the next sheriff behind you builds on what you left.
Yeah.
Every sheriff should aspire to make the office better than what it was when they come in, and I hope the next sheriff makes it better than what I have. Because, hey, everybody's got different ideals, and sometimes you think, you can improve something.
Yeah.
Not that the guy was wrong, but you got a different idea.
It's just different, yeah.
And I was proud. I was very proud of the team I assembled. And, but every day in the back of my mind, I was always waiting for a phone call. Every time I would hear of a border agency or right here in the city having an opening, I was waiting for that phone call. And there ain't been a time that it didn't come, and I had some deputies that have stayed really loyal to me. And that also puts a little bit of grief on me in a way, because
I see that.
I know in my heart a lot of their loyalty, a lot of the reason they were staying and stayed as long as they did was loyalty to me.
Yeah.
And that puts a little grief on your heart too, because that their families are suffering when they could better themselves, making more money for another agency, but they don't want to let me down.
Right.
And they're trying to stay loyal. And several of them have turned down jobs for years.
I would imagine.
And because I've always tried to take care of them, and I feel that's why. But loyalty can only be stretched to a breaking point. And when it comes to the point to where you got to pay your bills, you got to make those decisions.
And when you see your boss constantly having to fight, constantly having to beg for funding. I need funding. I know you and I have had this conversation since the pandemic of not having enough money for deputies and the things that you need. So I concur with what you said, and you predate me, obviously. Like, funding's always been an issue with Sheriff's Department.
It's always.
It's not a new thing. It's not.
Mm-mm. And we're pretty well self-sufficient. The sheriff's offices have ways to generate money, through vehicle inspections, collection of taxes, and we get a percentage for that, and serving civil papers, subpoenas, et cetera. They're managing the carried concealed weapons license for the county. We have multiple ways to generate money, and we're pretty close to self-sufficient. But we still receive, by my numbers, and of course, these may be off a little, but, pretty well the county has to put probably less than $400,000 to operate their county law enforcement. That number sounds big.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, when you're supplying law enforcement services for your entire county for that money, that's really not a whole lot, really. I mean,
no.
When you start considering deputy salaries, office staff salary, gas, vehicles, and so forth, so we spend more than that, but we generate the rest of that. That's what comes out of our general budget, toward us. And, so sheriffs, and it's not just a problem here, and obviously all this seems to have gotten a lot of attention, and then of course it even blew up more with the coroner's issue and then my deputy's issue that popped up with a little bit of confrontation, and of course it's hit some other news channels statewide.
Yeah, it has
now. Last night alone, I received calls from 4 different sheriffs across the state.
My goodness.
And of course we've all got each other's number. We have a book that's got each county, and because sheriff's got a motto that no sheriff stands alone.
Love that.
And I got a call just last night. 4 different sheriffs. I was up to midnight on the phone with them, and all of them are pretty close to here. They're fighting the same fight. And if anyone's listening from some of these other counties, when your sheriff starts pleading, pay attention.
Better listen.
These guys are thinking the same thing that I'm thinking right now. They're not in a good environment, and that pressure comes down on you. When you can't provide services and when you can't provide what needs, something goes wrong. Those upset people end up in my office.
That they do.
How do you look them in the eye? How do I excuse the inaction? How do I excuse the fact that they want somebody to sit on their road and monitor speeding for a little while because somebody's flying down that road or whatever, and I've got 1 deputy out, or maybe 2
for 400 something miles.
They can go there and get set up and be there 5 minutes and get a call and they have to leave. And that's just a small example of some of the things. But how do you look them in the eye? You can't blame them.
You can't look that person.
You can't blame them.
No, absolutely.
They're right. They're 100% right.
Absolutely they are. You cannot look at them and say, you know what, I'm sorry, but hey, I can't get funding.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. You can't say that.
They don't come there for excuses.
No.
They come there to say, as taxpayers, why ain't these services being provided? So the buck stops with me. So, most of the time, I try to make things right the best I can, but I sit there and take it because in my heart, I know they're right. And if I was in those same situations, I'd feel the same way, and it's frustrating. And but, Adair County's got a great set of deputies. And even though the chaos from the last few days has kind of dampened what's supposed to be a happy day, I guess you would say. Adair County still has a great bunch of deputies, and I hope they stay. I have a great office staff.
Indeed, you do.
And the overwhelming support that I've received from the public has been warming to my family's hearts, and the comments that people have sent, and the prayers and congratulations. It's been as of last night, I had over 500 text messages in 2 days, and I fielded close to 200 phone calls.
Whew.
And the response has been, and it's warming to my heart. But I do want to say this, and I know we might be running short on time, but I do want to say this. Although I'm very appreciative of that, I'm not going to take credit for my deputies and office staffs and court security's work.
Yeah.
They're the reason I am who I am. The sheriff is just a figurehead of the office. the lifeblood of a sheriff's office is its staff. They are who have the most contact with the people. Of course, I'm still out there every day, but
you are every day.
They are the true people that needs to be thanked. They are who has made my career for me, and they've worked hard and they've supported me, and with the job we've performed, it couldn't have been done without them.
True.
I'm just the figurehead of the office, and I lead them the best I can. I know I've probably failed them several times, and that's just part of it. I know I make them mad sometimes, but that's also just part of
it. Is
part of it. But
it is.
They're good people, and they're hard workers, and they're dedicated, and I hope they continue to serve. And but I know they've all got options. Every single one of them have received job offers, and one's took it so far, and some of the others are considering. I don't know what they'll do, but they have to do what's best for their families.
Absolutely.
But I do want to reassure people that, I can't speak after I'm gone. But as long as I'm sheriff, I know there's concerns about if you need someone, who's going to come. As long as I got breath in me and I'm still in this position, you will have somebody coming to you. And so, I'm no stranger to long days and long nights.
No,
so
you're not, sir.
If I get really short-handed from here the rest of the month, then I'll do what I need to do. And if we're busy, they'll get a state trooper to you. And if a state trooper ain't available or ain't close, the police chief's done reached out to me, and he's pledged their support.
Yeah.
To make sure that if there's emergencies in the county, you will get an officer.
And that's what we got yesterday in that county of emergency situation release.
And it's kind of twofold, but like that, a lot of people do. Sometimes people ask me, well, the city has countywide jurisdiction. They are not limited to the city limits. They have countywide jurisdiction by statute. They've always assisted the sheriff's office.
Always, yes.
Well, since 2001.
I was going to say.
Can't predate that. But, we've always relied on the city to back us up late at night on dangerous calls.
Yeah.
When I worked at the city, we went out and backed the sheriff's office up.
Yep.
And they've always performed that. They've always been available to every chief and mayor and council that I'm aware of have always allowed their city police department to come help the sheriff's offices if needed. And the same goes for us. If they're busy on calls in the city, because sometimes they'll get wound tight with calls, and if they have an emergency, my deputies will jump into the city and help them out, and that's how you work. That's
Absolutely.
how we work, because there's not enough.
No, there is not.
So, but they've, I know they put out a statement, and hopefully that, I read a lot of people were concerned about if I call it, 911.
Yeah.
And I hope that calms some of the nerves to know.
Yeah.
But, as long as I'm in this uniform, there's going to be somebody coming.
Yep.
And, it doesn't matter the hours I have to put in. And we got some great troopers here,
Yep.
but they're no different than anybody else. They're spread as thin as everybody else is, and covering multiple counties. And sometimes when they send someone, it might be from another county. Sometimes we just don't have that long.
Yeah, very true.
So I hope that the reassuring, if we can't be there, the state can't be there, I hope that the statement that Chief Burton put out kind of will reaffirm everybody, like, hey, we've already been here.
We've already been doing this.
We've been doing this.
Yes.
We've already been here. But we want to reaffirm you that we're here.
Well said.
And because the safety of the citizens of Adair County is just a concern to the citizens that live in Columbia, to the police.
Yeah.
And vice versa, just because we work generally county, we jump in and help in the
Absolutely.
city too. And the
A
public
life
safety
is a life.
big, right. Public safety is the most concern, but I know I'm gonna miss it, and I hate that it got to this point, to where I would have liked to worked, a couple more years, but when your retirement ain't moving forward, and you're essentially working for $1 an hour, and you're living in a toxic environment,
putting your life on the line every single day.
It's time, and my wife and my children deserve it.
Absolutely.
And it's time to go home and spend a little time with them and try to make up for all the time that I'm gone, and all the nights that I leave, and all the birthday parties I've missed, and Christmases, and even baptisms, I'm ashamed to say. But you reach that point in time where you just know it's time. It's time.
Yeah.
It's time, and sometimes I guess you can get pushed a little early, but it. God has a plan for everything.
Well said.
And I've already, of course, can't do anything for a while after I retire, but there's definitely a shortage in workforce, because I've definitely received a lot of offers in the last 2 days in private sector and other government sectors, and hey, I can pass a drug test and I got a driver's license. That's a good start these days.
Hey, that's a really good start. and I know you can corral snakes pretty easily too.
Yes, I can. So the Lord will open up some doors for me, and I've got a call yesterday that I believe that the Lord works, things open up, and the Lord works in His own ways, and and I can definitely say when one door closes, another will open.
Yeah.
And but the sheriff's office will go on.
It will.
It will go on, and they'll get someone appointed in there. I believe most people know who it might be, but I don't know that any official statements been put out, so I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
But that's not for me to announce.
I understand that completely.
But I can tell you he's qualified.
Good.
And I can tell you he knows the job. And so we'll be all right. We just got to get over these few road bumps and hopefully smooth things out for the next sheriff and the deputies in the future, and maybe get them took care of. And, and I hate that it took some of these things like this to bring attention to the matters, but if it benefits my staff after I'm gone, then I will feel that I've done one last thing for them. So,
well, I tell you all the time, you're an amazing sheriff. You're an amazing person. Certainly, I and we will miss you as sheriff. And kind of to wrap it up, want to leave it better than what you got it. Sheriff, you're certainly doing that. We are happy for you being able to retire. Again, we're so sorry for the disrespect, but know that we certainly appreciate all those long hours, those long days, those long nights, time away from family, all your time, service, sacrifice, and dedication to Columbia and Adair County. I can promise you, from all of Columbia and Adair County, you, sir, are very, very, very much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Josh. And, thank you for always supporting the sheriff's office. And
always.
Not only that, but supporting me as a friend. You was one of the first.
Absolutely.
You was one of the first messages I got when it came out.
I'm sorry.
And those messages are what gives me comfort.
Yeah.
And I may be here or may not be here before the end of the month, but if I don't, I just want to thank everybody out there listening, everybody in Adair County for, the opportunity to serve. I've enjoyed it, and I hope I've done you a good job.
You certainly have done that.
And I tried my best. I gave it my best.
And that you did, and you certainly succeeded. Sheriff, we love you. Be safe. Certainly hope to see you again.
God bless y'all.
Absolutely. Dare County Sheriff Josh Brockman, North Century Pharmacy presenting the Community Buzz on High Country 93.5.